Hi everyone, I'm Carly Jones with LexJet, and today we're diving into the colorful world of dye sublimation. Whether you're just starting out with an Epson F170 or F570, or you've been creating for a while, this is an episode you don't want to miss. Joining me today is LexJet's own dye sub enthusiast, Liliana Wright, who's sharing some of the most common mistakes people make when getting started and how to avoid them, so you can save time, materials, and money while getting professional results every time. Liliana, you've worked with dye sublimation for a long time. What are some of the most common mistakes you see beginners make when they're just getting started with printers like the F170 or the F570?
I think in general, it seems like some of the main issues are users not understanding what dye sub is or what you can dye sub on to. For fabrics, they all assume that cotton, let's all try cotton, right? Well, it's not going to work with cotton. If you really understand the whole sublimation and how it works, you know that polyester and those types of fibers are going to bond better with that ink. So a lot of users will try to do hacks to do cotton, but eventually over time they learn that it's just not going to work. It's going to fade over time and they're just not going to get the results they hope for. And so when you can maybe go into forums or pages where you become part of the group, you understand that and you learn from experts and all these other new people that are also discussing it. You just learn a lot. So it's very important to be part of those groups, so you don't purchase the wrong product and become disappointed, because then, after that, you don't want to do it anymore. You become discouraged, and that's not what we want, because sublimation is so much fun.
I know you've actually brought in some learning experiences to show us. Can you walk us through what went wrong with each of these?
Sure. And I've made quite a few now during my years of sublimation, but the more you learn and the more you record, and that's really important to record all your projects and your mistakes, your outcome, what worked, what didn't, because you will forget a lot of the things that you try, especially when you're learning. And if, let's say, you do a whole bunch of tumblers in one season and the next season you're doing ornaments, you may forget, oh, what was it that I did with the tumblers? So it's really important to record your findings. So one of the mistakes that I first made was when I first bought my tape, I thought, I'll go online, I'll find tape, everybody uses it. I thought they were all the same, and they're not. I didn't realize that you should read the reviews and go to the forums and find out from people what brand actually works. Because some of them, when you tape it onto your substrate, if you're holding down tape, some of them that are not high quality will leave a yellow mark, and so it's ruined, and there's nothing you can do to fix that. So that's one of the mistakes that I made that I really regret, and I learned very quickly. Don't buy the cheapest thing or the ones that don't have really great reviews. Another mistake sometimes is not wearing protective gloves. That really is important. If you don't stick your hand in an oven and take a cake out at 400 degrees, don't do that with your substrate, because it is very dangerous. It's very, very hot. So always have safety first and precautions.
Yes.
Another one that I regret so much, but I learned a lot from, was I was so excited to do this tumbler. And sometimes I find graphics that are so captivating and I just want to sell them and I want to gift them. And you measure them, and not all tumblers are the same. So you have to be very precise at measuring. And when you overlap at the end, don't overlap the wrong side, because obviously I have a big old white line here and it's still usable, but it's not the quality product that I want to share with anybody. So that's a mistake that I learned once and I haven't made it again. Another one is when you're doing coasters or different products that have a peel, sometimes you don't even see it until you get like a little needle maybe and poke it out. So always don't forget this part, because when you burn it, it will smell and you'll freak out thinking you're pressed or something's going to catch on fire. It's not that. So just be very careful with this, and that will affect the look of it. So if it looks wrong, maybe you burned it. Maybe you made a mistake there. And then another one is also on these really beautiful bag tags. I love the bag tags that are glossy because they bring out so much color and they're versatile. You can use them for sports photography, for, gifts, whatever. Not having the right temperature will cause problems on some of the angles. You'll notice that it'll be dark in some edges and not pressed enough in the middle. Yeah. So sometimes that's a heat press problem, or you didn't add enough pressure or temperature, where maybe it was wrong or the timing was wrong. So always check your settings based on your manufacturer and what they recommend.
Yeah, speaking of that heat pressure and temperature, they're huge factors. So how can someone tell if their press isn't distributing heat evenly or applying enough pressure?
Sometimes you notice when you're doing several projects that they're all coming out like, oh, something about the center's not right. And that's kind of a clue. But there's also little test strips that I found that you can put on a little card on the corners of your press and in the middle. And when you press, it'll tell you if the heat was enough, if it actually distributed correctly. So there are some testing or some ways of testing them. And there's videos out there that'll show you how to do that.
You also mentioned cotton earlier. Not every fabric works well for sublimation. What should creators be looking for when choosing these materials?
Now, I guess as a rule of thumb for the industry is you want to stick to 65% or more polyester. The closer you get to cotton or away from polyester, more fading, more of the vintage look, people would call it, it's not going to last. The closer you are to 100% polyester, it'll bond really well. The colors will be beautiful. And I learned actually this week, a wonderful user on one of the forums explained it perfectly with the cotton versus the white fabrics and versus like the dark. And they said, imagine dye sub ink like a highlighter. Well, do you see a highlighter on a white? Yes. Do you see it on black? No. And so think about that. If the fabric is really dark, you're not going to see your dye sub inks.
So can we sublimate on black fabric or no?
You could, maybe, but you're not going to see the full spectrum of colors, and the graphic that you're so excited to show off, it's just not going to show. You want to stick to light colors and light fabrics.
So I love that you've also found some affordable products that work surprisingly well. Can you share a few examples of items people can find in discount stores that actually sublimate beautifully?
One holiday, I wanted to try all kinds of cooking. And so I went out and found a lot of the gloves, the oven gloves, the mittens, and they were wonderful for sublimation. So anything that's polyester will be beautiful. Towels, you can do a lot of cutting boards. That's the one that I haven't tried that I really want to try, are the glass cutting boards, because they're so beautiful. And they're wonderful gifts for realtors and for, people during the holidays when they move into a new home and things like that. So there's quite a few things, little mini easels you can give to teachers or to students for classrooms. If you go through the aisles, you can start seeing the possibility and just find out what it's made of and see if you can do it.
So Liliana, before we wrap up, what's your number one tip for anyone new to dye sub who wants to avoid those expensive trial and error moments?
So in general, other than joining a group to help you and encourage you and recording all this information, and obviously getting good substrates and things like that, the graphic. Some people think that just because they bought a graphic online somewhere that it's going to be top notch, and it's not. If you zoom in, you might see jagged edges. A poorly created file, no matter how beautiful the blank is or how wonderful your press and the paper is, will not come out nice, right? You're going to have a subpar beautiful ornament that is not so beautiful anymore because it's blurry, or there's specks where the designer did not clean up the edges. So that's really important. Just everything is perfect. If your image is not, no matter what you do, it will not be.
So every project that you do, are you taking notes for future projects to kind of keep that in the back of your mind?
I do. Every project that I create, I date it and I write notes or sketch something about it, because not all substrates will be identical. Some brands may be different, and I might forget, and I will reference that book a lot. So always keep a tab on what you're doing, how it turned out, because it might actually be great this time or not, but you'll remember that for the next time. It'll save you a lot of headaches.
Thank you so much, Liliana, for all of your expertise and for bringing all of these examples to us. Dye sublimation can be incredibly rewarding once you understand the process, and a few of these tips can make all of the difference in your success. If you'd like to learn more about the Epson F170 or F570 sublimation media, or any of the Unisub or Chronolux products, visit us at LexJet.com or reach out to your LexJet representative at 800-4-LexJet.